It is 8:30. We will call this morning's meeting to order with a pledge of allegiance. Item number 3 on the agenda is an invitation for a citizen to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. And just a reminder, there's a 5-minute time limit per person, and anyone wanting to speak to this agenda item must sign in prior to the start of the meeting. Any requested action items must be scheduled for a future meeting date. We have 2. Jeff Struy, please come forward. And I don't have a fancy clock, but I'll throw the timer just in case.
Okay.
Thanks.
No, I don't plan on taking 5. So I thank the county commissioners for allowing me to speak. I will first begin with the First Amendment to the Bill of Rights. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free excessive exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. First Amendment is highly appropriate today about us able to come up and petition our elected officials. Now, the cause and reason for this First Amendment is due to the tyranny of the British, who had suppressed free speech and the right to have public meetings. Americans also wanted to ensure their right to religious freedom, a reason why many had traveled thousands of miles to their new home in America. So just a few quotes. Religion and morality are indispensable to political prosperity. So said George Washington. John Adams said, religion and morality alone can establish the principles upon which freedom can securely stand. Benjamin Rush, the only foundation of the republic is Christianity. Without it, there can be no virtue or liberty. Charles Carroll, without morals, a republic cannot stand. The best security for a government is good morals. One of my favorites, Patrick Henry, said, the pillar of all government is virtue, morality, and religion. This alone makes us invincible. John Quincy Adams, no book in the world deserves to be so unceasingly studied and so profoundly meditated upon as the Bible. And John Adams also said, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. And in 1863, we have been the recipients of the choicest bounties of heaven. We have been preserved with peace and prosperity. We have grown in numbers, power, and wealth as no other nation has ever grown. But we have forgotten God. We have forgotten his gracious hand, which preserved us in peace and multiplied and enriched and strengthened us, and we have vainly imagined in the deceitfulness of our hearts that all of these things were produced by some superior wisdom or virtue of our own. Abraham Lincoln. And last night at the school board meeting, I asked the members to see if they could see who quoted this. If the Bible is excluded from schools, if Christianity has no place in our daily programs, if worship has no part, it would be better if we placed all schools under church control. That was a platform said by the NEA in 1892. And look where we're at today. I thank you.
Thank you. Jeanette Gibbons. I'm going to start with a handout.
Good morning and thank you. And this is also a replay of information that I shared with our school board last night, so I had a trial run at it there. And I'll start with a letter that I sent to Attorney General Vargo. And I also sent the attachment that you have in your hands now. So my letter to Attorney General Vargo. I am requesting your services in upholding your oath of office to protect and defend our republic and we the people whom you represent. Numerous crimes associated with the COVID-19 national health emergency have been committed and continue to this day. Included with my letter is a proposed indictment written by Dr. David E. Martin, PhD, founder and chairman of MCAM Incorporated. That is the document in your hands now. So the defendants that are named on it, and I won't read the list, but you have it. I'll just name a few that everyone would recognize. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the FDA, CDC, NIAID, Moderna, Pfizer. The following violations of federal laws are noted and explained in the proposed indictment. Again, I won't read all of those codes to you, but he has 8 counts in this proposed indictment, and I'll just read the descriptions rather than the code numbers for the benefit of the audience. Acts of domestic terrorism resulting in death of American citizens is count 1. Count 2, conspiring to commit acts of terrorism. 3, conspiring to criminal commercial activity. 4, funding and creating a biological weapon. 5, market manipulation and allocation. 6, lying to Congress. 7, interlocking directorates. 8, seditious conspiracy. And my closing paragraphs in my letter: the unalienable rights of the liberty, of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness sanctioned by our Creator have been impeded. The true role of government, which includes your office and your position as a sworn officer of our Constitution, is to protect these rights. I will disseminate the letter to others, including national, state, and local elected officials. Thank you for your prompt attention to this ongoing matter. Please respond within 10 days to confirm that actions are underway to address this matter. Now, the reason that my letter, that I was prompted or felt the need to send this letter at this time especially, is that the national emergency has been extended. The national health emergency was set to expire on July 15th and has now been extended to October 13th. And I look around and I ask myself, which I asked myself throughout the pandemic, where is the emergency? The crimes that are outlined in this proposed indictment by Dr. Martin point to some very clear problems in our country. The entire pandemic was built upon lies and crimes. And I will say that I've lost sleep over it. I've lost sleep over the direction that our country has taken, over what's happening day by day. Things seem to be getting worse in some places rather than better. And it does have to end. And we've had 2 years plus of this nonsense. And I was done with it quite a while ago. I want us to be done with it collectively. This is all of us. This is not just a few citizens complaining about things that have gone haywire. This involves all of us. We're a community, we're citizens of the greatest country on the planet, and this is where we're at. So where do we go from here? Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And our Attorney General will be acting on this, I'm almost certain.
Thank you. We have Commissioner Pierce needs to get called into the rest of the meeting as well. While we're waiting, we might still move on with agenda item number 4, approval of the agenda. Would there be a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Any further items to add?
No.
Great. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5, the consent agenda items. We have the approval of the minutes, approval of travel requests, approval of personnel action notices, approval of cellular authorizations, approval of the human services report. Would I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Any comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 6 is routine business, approval of the claims. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Any comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 6B, department head reports. We have Dustin's report in our packet. Dustin, did you want to come chat as well? Perfect. We'll start with BCOIC.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
I'll start with attendance. I know I included it in my packet, but just give you guys up to date since yesterday. In the gun range, we had 116, and then archery range, we had 70. The events we had 31 events. Archery range, gun range, obviously everybody's outside having fun, so we're trying to bring more people into that classroom just to keep the facility going. 4-H is in full swing. They finished up kind of their dog show season. They had that yesterday. And then they're doing presentations and fashion show stuff, getting ready for achievement days. So they've been using the facility quite a bit. Train, they did their quarterly PM, preventative maintenance. Still waiting on parts for the 2 compressors that are in our makeup air unit in the gun range. Luckily, there's 3 compressors on there, so the one seems to be keeping up when it's humid out. It's a little bit humid inside, but we're making it work for now. August is shooting sports month, so we've been working on this kind of all summer. I've attached a flyer as well for the public to see, trying to do something fun every weekend with the clubs that use the facility, along with bringing some outside people in. So everybody that's helping us out, that's great. Hopefully people come out and enjoy that. And then we got a 3-range shoot coming up too. We've been working on this all summer as well with Beacon Hill. It's an outdoor range, kind of a long-range rifle range. And then the Brookings Gun Club east of town, so trying to work with surrounding ranges just to get everybody involved working together. On my little packet that I presented, it says possible partnership with the USCCA. I'd like to kind of rephrase that. It's more of like an affiliation. It's no legal binding contract that we would have with them. They just they're kind of new in the industry. I would compare them to the NRA, but they're geared towards safety and training. If it was all right with you guys, I was going to get kind of a consensual agreement, talk to the BCOIC board as well. But they would come in and set up a table and kind of, their main goal is to sell memberships, and then they send you stuff, but they hand out some swag and that kind of stuff. Would you guys feel all right if they were to do that in the facility? That's okay? Okay. So I'll bring that up in the board and see if they're interested in that as well, the BCOIC board. But we were awarded the Wildlife Restoration Grant, Hunter Education Program grant. That's just one grant, and that's in the packet for you guys to approve that. So I've been working on that as well. Just some general maintenance with the storm we had. All our security lights were working, but the batteries, they're so old, once they're kind of past their useful life, so they won't recharge again, just fixing some of that stuff. And David Parker, this isn't in my little packet, but David Parker reached out to me about 3 or 4 days ago from the outdoor campus, and they're interested in putting a waterfall loaner trailer at our facility. And this is kind of another consensual agreement that I figured I'd ask you guys, but it's a great program. A lady donated a bunch of money to them, so what they're going to do is buy a trailer, fill it full of decoys, and then leave it at our facility. If it gets damaged, anything like that, we're not responsible for it, but they asked if we would be interested in taking reservations for that. It's free to the public. They want to get one in Brookings because SDSU's here, but it's got everything you need to go hunting besides a gun. You need a license and a call, basically. But would that be all right with you guys if they would have it at our facility? They do it out in Pierre and in Sioux Falls, and it goes over great. They're just trying to get more people into waterfall hunting. Perfect. Another thing, Michael Weiss from the Brookings Disability Awareness Committee, he reached out to me. They had a little ice cream social in Pioneer Park last weekend. They had 9 full tubs of ice cream that they needed a spot for, so we helped them out with that. Just letting everybody know that we try to help out all these nonprofit groups the best we can. So there was that as well. Did you guys have any questions for me at all? Perfect. Thanks.
Thanks, Justin. Community Health, Jen?
Good morning. It seems like we were just here. So we go twice a year now, come to you guys and visit. It's fully staffed right now, so we're pretty excited. About a year ago, we were down to 2 of us, just the clerical and myself. And last fall, we hired the dietitian through the state, and then we just hired another nurse to assist me also in February. So orientation's going well. It's an ever exciting process of orientating, but it's going smoothly. In January, the state took a big step and started My Insight program. It's a new electronic record. So getting away from paper, which has been amazing as far as that goes, and the data that's been able to pull out too is way more accurate. So that's definitely been a positive. January, February, we also did a big WIC breastfeeding education training. I can't remember how many hours it was, but it was quite extensive. Kim will be completing that. Hopefully this fall they'll have it up and running for new hires to complete. So it's a designated breastfeeding breastfeeding educator. So just a little bit more education with the breastfeeding knowledge and background. Immunizations, we continue to really focus on the 2 to 3 year olds and the adolescent age group, just because a lot of those are missed with the well child checkups. So if you know anybody who is going into kindergarten or 6th grade, try to get them in for those immunizations before school starts, because we will be starting the immunization audits this fall. And let me tell you, it's a lot easier when those kiddos are up to date before we do the audit. And then the schools continue to reach out to go encourage those kids to get those immunizations to be completed for the schools. The WIC program, we've seen a drop kind of over COVID. We continue to see a little bit of a rise now, I think. We've seen a lot of new faces come into the office, which is good. So the word is getting out to the lower income population that we're here and available. A big thing that we've seen through the whole pandemic thing is that they increased the fruits and vegetable intake for clients. It's currently $24 for children, $43 for pregnant and postpartum women, and then $47 for women who are partially or breastfeeding. Prior to COVID, it was $9 for children and $11 for all women. So we pray every day that that stays increased, because as you know, I'm not sure what you can buy for $9 or $11 right now. So, and that's been increased as far as we know. It's not going down, so that's been nice. We continue to welcome everybody into the office, really encouraging clients to come into the office so we can get a full assessment on them, including hemoglobin, iron levels, heights, weights. If there's sick family member or lack of transportation, they're not able to come, we don't deny the benefits or the appointment. We are still able to do it per phone. The state is looking into a virtual telehealth system, kind of like the other clinics have available. And again, now that we're fully staffed, we're hopefully going to be doing some more marketing, getting the word out about what WIC is. The formula recall has been a big thing recently. It was kind of scary for quite a while. We've had some approvals that clients can get other formulas that are available through the WIC program. So we contract with Similac currently, but through this formula recall, they're able to get other formulas that are available out there. Regarding the maternal health, we continue to provide pregnant women. We meet with them monthly. Again, try to get them into the office to do that weight and blood pressure check. As we know, hypertension and preeclampsia continues to be on the rise as a safety factor. And we also are really focusing on depression, prenatal and postpartum depression. So there's these what's called HULI questions, and I have them listed up there. They're pretty known wide questions that they answer yes to one of those 2 questions, and they get a little longer form. And then we have a referral process that we send on to the physician if needed. Safe sleep, again, it continues to be important. I know we've had some history in our community that kind of hits home with how important safe sleep is. So we really promote, do as much education every month with those pregnant moms, and we continue to issue the pack and plays for those who do not have a safe sleep option. School services were completed in May, and we're looking into the school year. In September, we'll be doing school services. I have those dates on the calendar as a tentative date, so that information's kind of going out to the schools right now also. With the child adolescents, we continue to screen for like developmental screenings and social emotional screenings on all kids that come into the office. If we do phone visits, sometimes we will mail those clients. We refer a lot to Head Start or the Birth to 3 program through ICAP also, just trying to capture those kids that kind of fall through the cracks that maybe aren't going to well childs and that need a little bit more assistance developmentally. So, all right, that's us in a nutshell. Any questions? Yep. Okay, and then the next page is our stats. You can kind of review those, and if you have any questions, you can always shoot them over our direction. But all right,
Great.
thank you. Yep.
Thanks, Jen.
Yep. Thanks.
We'll move on to County Development Department. Mr. Hill.
Good morning. I sent a report into your thing. We did have a July 5th planning meeting, and on our next planning meeting, we plan on having some, we've got a bunch of plats, so this time we're going to have some education training from First Planning District at our next planning meeting. We're starting to get appointments for Madera Township / Big Sioux River study. We had a meeting, which is in the report, and we're going to start meeting with some of the landowners that have the federal easements, and in the future we'll have meetings with everybody. You know, we'll get it out there, but first we need to we're looking at one specific group of citizens that's got federal easements at this time. And over the weekend we had an emergency management call on a citizen out near Arlington area, Volga, and had some concerns of trees that were down, and I went out and took a look at that, and we'll continue to work on that issue. The Silver Air Patrol, if you want to hit the camera real fast. We had the Silver Air Patrol fly a mission for us. They literally flew from county line north to south, and specifically we asked them to look for trees in the Big Sioux River that could possibly affect our transportation system, which is our bridges, in our opinion. And I'm going to work with the highway superintendent, at least show them the documents that we've got. Some of them may not ever affect the bridge. You can see the trees in the river. And I guess I left the other one. That's all I got. Thank you. But they did a good job for us. They went out, and what I'm going to do is take those photos that you saw there, because obviously a bridge is a bridge, but I'm working with the GIS department or GIS coordinator to get those geo-referenced so I can show you a map and then show you exactly where the trees are. And last but not least, in the packet, I included a ARPA agreement. We're requesting a generator for our emergency operations center. This is going to be the first of 2 requests. We're preparing another one for the outdoor adventure center for sheltering purposes. But this one takes priority, and this one we got the quote in already. I feel we need to move on this one because you're going to get a time lag on ordering things like generators and stuff to get it hooked up. So that's why I sent that request in. And any questions?
Yeah.
Bob, on the debris removal in the river, if it's beyond the right of way, will you be contacting landowners to get permission or?
Well, that we'll have to see. First of all, I want to show them to the highway superintendent and see if he feels they're a danger. If he feels there's a danger, then I'll probably have to start working with Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources and see what the legalities are. Because when you start dealing with rivers, it's a whole different, out in the lakes, if we lose a tree in a lake, we can't go out and just grab that tree out of the lake. You got to go through game fishing parks or DANR to do it. So first of all, we need to determine, is there a danger? If we think that thing's going to flood, break loose, and damage our infrastructure, then we would take a look at it. And it may include contacting, obviously, if we're going to go on personal property to try to get it, fish it out, yes, we would work with the landowners. At no time would we not work with the landowner.
Bob, on the generator for the EOC, is that something that we can bring to E911 first, perhaps, since that would be a shared city-county resource?
That would be up to this board here. I mean, right now it's they have to do some work for it to become the alternate I-911 center. I don't think they've got the antenna to make it the alternate. We do need it as an emergency operations center today. So, but the choice is obviously the commission.
Sure. I think it might make some sense. Fire station, essentially, and they're part of that
Well,
emergency operations.
They're aware that it's.
Yep.
I mean, they gave me the quote, obviously.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So I think that might be the appropriate spot to go first.
And the
then-
maintenance of the thing would be something that would have to be budgeted on a year-by-year basis in the future on that one. Because you don't put a generator in and then leave it. You have to maintain it and make sure there's a schedule when it's fired up and all that. A lot of that would fall on the city's side. So, and we do have a 911 meeting coming up pretty soon. I'll try to have Richard attend that. I'm going to be out of the office.
Yep, that's on Thursday morning. So we'll see if we can get that added to the agenda so we can get a decision on that in a timely fashion for you, Bob.
Very good. Thank you.
Any
Anything
questions?
else? Thank you.
No, thank you. We do have a scheduled 9 o'clock. I don't know, Brian, if your report is super short. Sweet. County Highway.
Last week on the 12th, in regards to their future projects, and shared our 5-year plan with Sioux Valley, and we're going to try to expedite some of these permits to include both the underground and the overhead, so we don't have this continual flow of permits that you guys see. I want to try to lump them all in together as one project rather than several permits. So that was one of the things we met with. Also met with Banner and Volga on the Samaro Avenue project. I attended the Aurora Progress meeting and notified them that in the event of the closure on the interstate, that there's going to be some traffic coming through town, so I wanted to make sure that their project on at least our road was completed, and it is, but they are aware that if the interstate does close down, you guys will consider later with that agreement with the state again, now that 34th Avenue is closed down. On the 14th, I met with Eureka Township. Now the Sinai Bridge, the asphalt was finished last week. Yesterday they were in striping and reinstalling a expandable joint, and we're looking at today opening up that bridge with any luck. But we got like 1 or 2 checklist items that need to be taken care of. Just some site cleanup and some guardrail, but we're looking at opening that up today, so that's all I got.
Perfect. Thanks, Brian. It is 9 o'clock. We'll move to item 7A, our scheduled hearing and action to approve ordinance 2022-04, an ordinance authorizing the rezoning of a portion of Outlot 15 of Outlots 15, 16, 17, 18, inclusive of the west half of the south half of the northeast quarter of Section 11, Township 109 North, Range 50 West in Madera Township. That portion of Outlot 15 to be rezoned will be known as Lot A of Outlot 15 in the west half of the south half of the northeast quarter of Section 11, Township 109 North, Range 50 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings, South Dakota. Are we reading the entire thing? Remind me. No? Yes. We have to read which was the title. So, yes, that was the title. So from there, is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, we will open the public hearing if anyone wishes to speak on this item. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments by the commission? That one did come with a unanimous recommendation for approval, correct, Mr. Hill?
Yes, ma'am. On the June 7th meeting.
Thank you. Hearing no further comments, call the roll, please.
Jensen,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Pierce, Bartley,
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Aye from Pierce also.
Would you repeat that, Leanne?
I said I also vote yes.
Thank you. Got our technology up and running. Hooray. Okay, we'll go back to department head reports. Marty, anything from the sheriff's department?
Good morning.
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 Anyway, in the detention center, as this report was generated yesterday, we have 35 inmates. 28 are Brookings County inmates, 6 are Moody County, 1 is Lake County. 24/7 area continues to stay busy. We have 103 participants, and so we have 27 that come in twice a day to blow, and we 13 on remote breath test, 13 on scram. We got 24 on UAs. Drug court, we got 11. Court, we have 6, and GPS participants, we have 5. So stay busy, anxious for the 24/7 area to open up. Anyway, been busy the last 2 weeks. Over the weekend, had Pioneer Days in White that went good. I don't believe we had any calls to White. They all went to Volga. So I had extra staff on, but we needed them in Volga. I don't know what, just one of those nights. 3 domestics. I think we had a couple of DWIs that came out of there and stuff. So the guys have been busy. Actually, booking area's been busy. I think over the weekend, Friday to Saturday, we had 16 book-ins, if not more. So it was a busy weekend for us. On the 11th, Monday the 11th, we had a resident woke up in the morning and found a vehicle crashed just on a culvert in their driveway. There was 3 occupants in it that went at large, and we were able to get to the first day. Took the drone out and stuff, but it was so windy we only could stay up in the air about 10 minutes. Now the corn is so tall, can't see between the rows. These guys kept ducking into the corn and tree line and everything, but we had a lot of residents would spot them on the road. By the time we got back there, they were back into the corn, so it just took a while. Actually, our canine found the first one. We knew that he was in a drainage ditch, but we didn't know exactly where. And the dog is a track dog, so the dog found him. And the guy in the ditch wasn't scared of us, but when the dog started growling, he was scared of the dog, so he got right up and surrendered. And then there was a female that we got a couple hours later, and then we got the third one the next day. But just a lot of good resident help giving us tips and things like that. So if it wasn't for them, we probably they'd be in the cornfield somewhere probably. I don't know. Anyway, so that turned out good. Also on the 11th, we had the police chiefs forum, and Dave Beitler, jail administrator, and myself attended that. And then the next morning, Tim the university police chief, Tim Heaton, myself, and I had Dave Beitler with us because we did a jail tour, is that we spent probably an hour and a half with each candidate, and it wasn't really an interview, it was mostly a walk and talk type thing, and went through the jail and talked about mental health and some of the things we're going to do at the jail and so forth. So we spent about 4+ hours with these three. So actually, all three probably could do a good job, but we did give the city manager our pick. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, so that was nice. I think it was great to have the university police chief involved and so forth. So anyway, just getting to be busy already as far as things this fall. The interim police chief came in yesterday, and on August 17th, they're having a multicultural coalition, ice cream social for international students, international faculty. And they want to have a law enforcement table there because, the simple things like driver's manuals to these, probably when we can, if they get stopped by a police officer, how we're going to conduct that. And they're talking about, maybe 150 to 200 out at the barn north of town. Grassroots, is it? Grassroots? Yeah. And so we'll have a law enforcement table at that. And University Police Department, myself, and the Brookings Police Department will man that. Maybe the Highway Patrol will see what happens. And be a good time to do a lot of stuff with the multicultural students and so forth. So, and then just stuff coming up for, they want me to come give a talk at one of the banks on fraud and stuff, but just getting into the fall stuff. Summer's moving away from us here. So anyway, if you have any questions.
I don't think I have any questions, but Marty, it sure is nice to hear and see that you and Officer Beitler have been so involved in that police chief hiring, because I think that interagency collaboration is really crucial to the way that law enforcement works in Brookings County.
And also with the university police chief, I think that, we hope for good things. More interaction amongst the departments and kind of draw us together again so we can get to be a team again and so forth. So, yeah.
It's exciting.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Last under routine business is the finance officer's report, and we'll just note for the record the be it noted items: the auditor's account with the treasurer, payroll and additives totals, highway expenditures report, the register of deeds, statement of fees collected. And we'll move on to item 8, regular business. Item 8A is action to approve resolution number 22-28. A plat of Block 1, Hart Edition in Government Lot 1 of Section 33, Township 109 North, Range 50 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
Comments, Mr. Hill?
Yes, ma'am. We heard this at our last planning and zoning meeting on July 5th, and the board recommended approval unanimously and sent it to this board with a recommendation that you approve it.
Sounds good. Any comments by the commission? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Krogman?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item B, action to approve resolution number 22-29, a resolution listing uncollectible distress warrants. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Any comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item C, action to approve resolution number 22-30, a bridge improvement grant local federal bridge program resolution authorizing submission of applications. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, Brian?
Do you have your mic on, Brian?
Both these will be for the same bridges. One is big grant and one's the local federal. So there's two separate programs, but there's two different applications.
Gotcha. Sounds good. Any further comments or questions by the commission?
What would be what's the cost of this bridge? What would be our match?
20%.
Or you said 20?
20% on the big grants and 0% on the local federal. So the one we're looking at right now would be for the big grant, and the local federal would be at 100% paid for.
Normally, so is the big grant on a scoring system still again?
It's
Normally
on
we've done.
these programs are on the exact same program, or the exact same scoring process. If you don't qualify for one, because the local federal has to be on an off-system road. It can't be on a primary Brookings County road. So it has to be on a township road to be eligible for that local federal, where the big grant is open from the whole system.
Well, I guess my question was, we normally have sometimes upped our percentage, haven't we, to try to get a better score? Or
This is just for preliminary engineering.
Okay.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item D, action to approve resolution number 22-31, a bridge improvement grant, local federal bridge programs resolution authorizing submission of applications. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval?
Second.
Same thing? Perfect. Any discussion by the commission? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Jensen?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item E, action to approve resolution number 22-32, a resolution requesting the repeal of SDCL 61-5-40. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval?
Second.
Comments by the commissioners?
I don't know if, with our feedback that this will work, but this is the statute that caused the unemployment insurance problem for us.
And so this is the resolution that we're providing to the state association as a part of the resolutions process for consideration by the entire state association.
Correct. If this is passed, what I will do is send this resolution out to the SDACC, South Dakota Association of County Commissioners. They're due by the end of this month, and that resolutions committee, which is the exec committee for the association, reviews submitted resolutions and whether to pass them on or not. Whether they decide to pass them on, I think they still kind of go on to the full body. And then in September, when all counties are out in Pierre at the fall convention as part of the business session, all of the resolutions that are submitted are reviewed and then voted on by the membership, the statewide membership of the association. So if we pass this, that's kind of starts the process of going out to our association to get approval. If it's approved then at the association level, then it goes on to the legislature, and we get a bill drafted, and it'll go before the legislature in January.
Will this also be brought up at our 10-county meeting next month?
Yes, they usually have a whole list of the resolutions at the meeting. So, when for whoever is attending there, we can discuss this and what this kind of why we may pass this resolution.
Any further discussion?
The question is whether or not we would want to have the statute repealed, or if we would like to have it amended so that it would read that the exemptions set forth in the statute apply to political subdivisions who are reimbursing employers. And I talked to Tim Reed a little bit about this. And if this passes through SDACC, he will sponsor this legislation. He also said that LRC will take a look to determine what's the best way to go.
Great. Any further questions or comments for Commissioner Pierce? Thanks for your work on this. I think we'll certainly see what the other counties think in the 10-county meeting, and then as a part of the association as well. All right. Any further comments on that one? Hearing none. Call the roll, please.
Krogman,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. We do have a scheduled 9:15 this morning. It's an American Rescue Plan Act funding presentation and request by Heidi Gullickson, the Executive Director of the United Way. Good morning.
Brookings Area United Way. I come before you guys today to talk about a building project that we have going on that we are still requesting extra funding for to help finish it. The building will be built, and building has started. Construction is underway just north of First Lutheran Church. So the church will still own the property, and we have a lease agreement for $1 a year for 99 years from the church. And within that building, it will house the food pantry, the backpack program, the senior commodities program, the United Way offices, which we also house the 2 current helpline center employees, and then some kind of conference rooms, some meeting rooms for other nonprofits to use as well. So we're really hopeful that this building will be there for generations to come. If you've been to the food pantry building, it has served its life. It is becoming unsafe. And so as conversations were happening that they needed to find a new location, the backpack program was required to move out of the space that they were in. And I think they've been in like 5 different locations in the 8 years I've been with United Way. So being able to provide long-term, stable, secure places for these nonprofits will only help to serve the community. The Senior Commodities Program is currently run out of the Lutheran Center on campus. And it is just kind of a challenge because for many of these organizations, when the food comes in, there's no loading dock. There's not a way to get the food into the buildings in a easy manner. And many of the volunteers are a little bit older, and so it's unpackaging the pallets outside and then taking in and down the stairs and around through the kitchen. And then when it goes out, it has to go out the opposite way again. So having this building will really just make the process easier. It'll streamline things. The Feeding South Dakota truck only needs to come to 1 location versus 3 for those organizations. And having that space to be able to do some trainings, our mental health trainings that we provide throughout the community, being able to have a location for those will be wonderful as well. So how we came about this is that we were able to work through the City of Brookings to apply for a community development block grant. So that process started. We were not able just to apply. We had to do a survey portion because Brookings doesn't qualify automatically for our community is deemed too affluent by like 0.5 percentage point. So we were able to do a survey of limited clientele and be able to turn those numbers into the state. They then approved us to go ahead and apply for the grant. And so working again through the city and with some assistance from First District, yes, thank you, up in Watertown, being able to apply for that community development grant, we were awarded $1.6 million. And our building contract with the general contractor is in that $1.88 million, which that's for the building portion. The city has committed $300,000 towards this project, and so I come today before you to ask for $300,000, kind of that matching of what the city did from the county through the ARPA funding to help us finish that building. Just because the contractor is 1.88, there's still all those other things outside of that, both before the project even started and then continuing. And so some of those things that we are still looking for funding would be some of those security types of things for the door system, the security cameras, signage, lighting, a pallet jack for folks to be able to use within those programs. After the derecho, we then added the backup generator onto our list, knowing that having those walk-in coolers and freezers may need some extra protection to make sure that we don't have the food spoilage that could happen in those kind of situations. Happy to answer any questions. Like I said, the construction has started. Half of the building had floor poured as of last week, and half of it didn't, but I know they were working over there yesterday. I'm just not sure what part they're on. There's a picture of kind of the rendition of what we will have. We are looking at a completion date of January of 2023 because that's the best time to move, right? But we would be excited to be in the new building and for, just like I said, for generations to have that building for the community is really what we're looking at. Happy to answer any questions.
Do you happen to know roughly how big that building is?
Area is about 7,500, within a couple hundred square feet.
And is there, I mean, based on your projections, a little bit of room to grow and all of that stuff still works?
We think there's kind of a little bit of flex space
Okay.
Until we get into it. Not quite sure. Knowing that the backpack area, because of the timing that they will be using that space, will probably be open for other things to happen during the week. And Kathy, who runs that program, is very open to that idea. And so we're looking for things on, chairs on wheels and tables on wheels to be able to kind of flip the space as needed for different things.
That's awesome. Great. Other questions? Commissioner Jensen?
I guess the only question I had, how soon would you like to know on request?
As we are starting to kind of nail down some of the things that we need to have for the building, of course, sooner is better, knowing that with, like, for generator example, they're probably going to be doing the rough-in of electrical and plumbing and mechanical in September. So the faster we know of what we really can get for the building in those kind of respects helps us just be able to plan and make sure that we can get everything in as needed. So I don't necessarily need the $300,000 in a checking account today, but knowing that it's coming will help us be able to plan out those things that we need to plan out before the dollars are needed.
Just a quick question on the 7,500 square feet. I mean, you rattled off all kinds of things that are going to be in this building, in particular, flex space and everything else. Do you have the ability to expand that building on the property at all, if necessary, in the future, or is it pretty limited?
We have used up the majority of that space back there because there will be a road coming off of Harvey Dunn into a back parking lot. There'll be a side parking lot off to the west and then a back parking lot. And so we've really used up that space. So it started at 2,800 and it grew to 7,500. So we tried to build in as much space as we could to be able to flip things as needed, but
These things always seem to expand
they do.
as far as the need. Thank you.
Great. Anything else? No action to be taken today. We will have another kind of follow-up conversation with the commission as we start to determine what those top priorities are for funding here in the next few months, I think. I don't know if we have that date scheduled. We had a tentative.
We don't. That's part of my staff report coming up that we're going to discuss getting together again and having those discussions.
Great.
Always feel free to reach out for updates and any other questions. Thank
Sounds
you,
good.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item F, action to approve agreement 22-70, a South Dakota Department of Transportation agreement for use and restoration of detour and/or wet weather detour. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion?
In lieu of the 34th Avenue now being closed, I pressured the state to, instead of doing this afterwards, in the event of a closure, now the traffic, if they do close down the interstate, will be diverted to drive through Aurora on County Road 23.
Any questions for Brian on that? Thanks for being proactive in that regard.
Will we communicate that to the city of Aurora if something like that happens, I'm guessing? Because that will obviously increase quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the reason I attended their progress meeting, was to notify them and ensure that there wasn't any construction for their sanitary sewer project that would possibly be affected. And they do know about it. The mayor was there, the city manager, and the city public works guy. So yeah, they are made aware of it.
Great. Any further questions? Hearing none. Call the roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item G, action to approve agreement number 22-71, an application for occupancy of right-of-way of county highways made by East River Electric Power Cooperative, Inc. in Aurora Township. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Any comments?
This is what I'm talking about. This is stemming from a line that they put in, and they're coming back just about a year later now and putting in the drops to feed these farm places. I'm going to encourage them to add that into the original permit. Some of these drops were taken care of last year, and some of them are getting taken care of this year. I'd just like to expedite the process in the future and add it into one project.
Sounds good. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item H, action to approve agreement number 22-72, an application for occupancy of right-of-way of county highways made by East River Electric Power Cooperative, Inc. in Aurora and Brookings Townships. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
Again, this is another conversation I'm going to have with East River Electric. These next three permits, three permits here are all going to be for the same project. There's some underground encompassed and some overhead, but it is all for the same project. This is between the Bushnell substation and the Wappa substation on County Road 46, and they're all associated with the same project, and I'd like to expedite that in the future to add it just to one permit.
Any questions for Brian? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item I, action to approve agreement number 22-73, an application for occupancy of right-of-way of county highways made by East River Electric Power Cooperative, Inc. in Aurora Township. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Comments? Same story. Any other comments by the commissioners? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item J, action to approve agreement number 22-74, an application for occupancy of right-of-way of county highways made by Sioux Valley Energy in Bangor Township. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments on this one? Same thing. Comments by the commissioners? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Item K, action to approve agreement number 22-75, a joint powers agreement for juvenile detention services. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Comments on this one?
This is the agreement, this is approved every 5 years, And you'll see the per diem contract. I think we do that annually. This is the renewal of the 5-year contract between, I believe, 16 counties for use of JDC down in Minnehaha County.
Any questions or concerns by the commissioners? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item L, action to approve agreement 22-76, a public use agreement between the Brookings County Outdoor Adventure Center and the South Dakota Department of Game Fish and Parks. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is just for some preventative maintenance, so it's not a project or anything. Asked for 20,000. It's a 75-25 split. It's already in my budget, so if they say no to the bids that we get, I guess we're not out anything, you could say. And then since they already are a tenant in the building, there's nothing really different from this public use agreement to the one we already have that you guys, when you purchase the building, have. So letting them, obviously promoting the youth with the hunter safety program and letting them use the building like with the waterfall loaner trailer. And they do have occasional meetings there just because the northern side and the southern, they meet halfway. But any questions for me?
Hearing no questions, any other comments from the commissioners? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Jensen,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item M, action to approve agreement 22-77, a state of South Dakota agreement between Brookings County Outdoor Adventure Center and the South Dakota Department of Game Fish and Parks for indoor shooting range enhancements. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
How about this one?
If you notice, it says 3 competitive bids. I did reach out to them and let them know we have a contract with Train to change those dynamic filters. And they said they would work with us because they don't want to mess up anything in that contract since we already have one in place. But I did reach out to a few other companies to change those filters when I started that process and said I could provide that information because they were the cheapest. And they said, yeah, they would take that if we had it. And then obviously the berm, we're not under contract with anybody, so I'll start reaching out and getting different quotes, looking into different companies to do that as well.
Perfect. Any questions for Dustin? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Krogman,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item N, action to approve a request to fill vacancy for a finance assistant in the finance office. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item O is a discussion on the DAV van. There is no action to be taken on this one. Stacy.
Courtney was going to come up. I think she probably got tied up with something downstairs for a little bit, but our veteran service officer. So Commissioner Krogman, our VSO, Courtney Steffen, and myself met with some representatives from Beta last week in discussions with the DAV van. And the problem that we have right now is we are very, very short on volunteers to drive the DAV van. Low volunteers to drive and an increased need by our veteran population to use that service. So in visiting with Beta, the conversation, they actually are going down to Sioux Falls already 3 times a day. And so we were kind of having the talk about if we could work something with them to provide that service. That's right now, it's if we don't have a volunteer, we're trying to, do what we can to get them a ride, and sometimes we just can't find one. So I did hear back from Travis Bortnam. He's the interim director for Beta. And what they go down to Sioux Falls 3 times a day, like I said. They go at 7:11 and 2:30 in the afternoon, and they're down there for about 2 hours, and then they have the return trip back. They charge $30 round trip per day. And that's what they would then ask for the cost for us to have veterans as well go down and take and utilize that service. So I guess that's kind of the discussion. Ryan, you can add some more if you would like to.
Yeah. One of the reasons I think we're looking at this is the workload of coordinating these rides has just become increasing, especially with the cost of fuel. More veterans, instead of driving themselves, are taking advantage of the DAV van, which is great. The problem is we're down to about 4 volunteers is what it sounds like. And they've been trying to get, Courtney's been trying to recruit volunteers, but to volunteer you have to fill out a 30-page application to qualify. And so somebody says, I'll volunteer, that's great. They get the 30-page application and now it's not great. And it's become harder and harder. And that's part of the DAV Think program is you have to be qualified for that to run that. You can't just jump in the vehicle and take somebody down with that van. That's part of the program. And it's becoming harder and harder for her to be able to, one, coordinate those rides and get a volunteer to do that. And so it's becoming more taxing on her with her other responsibilities of trying to help veterans in their getting their benefits and knowing that that's available. So we reached out to Beta saying they're going there 3 times a day anyway. Could we coordinate rides and maybe even provide better services for our veterans who call and say, I need to be there on Wednesday, and Courtney has to call and say, we don't have somebody for you. Sorry, we have nobody to take you. Or something like that, instances. And so with them going three times a day and then coming back 3 times a day, it might offer some flexibility for a veteran to go at 11 o'clock and come back at 3 o'clock, or have 3 different options to get back. We talked about the ability to drop off to the VA hospital, which is where the majority of the veterans go when they go to Sioux Falls. And they said they have no problem with that. But the question again will be the cost. So the DAV van is there. It's a program the federal government gets to it, but we're running into increasing problems administering that program. And so this was a question or meeting with Beta to see if they're willing to work with us on it. And they said they would, and they thought they could make it work. They thought it would work well. But, we've got a decision to make here about the DAV van and what we want to do moving forward with it, and the ability to keep it running under their program. So that's kind of, it was a good meeting. It was good. Courtney had a lot of good input on it with them, with us, and so something we just need to discuss. And I know there's a lot of people, veterans, that use it, and if we got rid of that DAV van, I'm sure it might cause some heartache on that. But if that were the case, we would need to figure out a way to make sure we can provide them with a free ride, whether it's a DAV van or with Beta. So that's kind of the things, and that's why we want to have this discussion. If there's constituents out there that have questions or want to have some input, certainly, we're open for that. We'd like to hear that. It's not something we're just going to turn around and make a difference, but it's something we need to discuss.
Mr. Hill.
Yes, Commissioner Warsama, thank you. Being a DAV van driver since 2008, the only Beta would be a good ideal. I've got no doubt about that. The only question would be if Beta took someone down there at 7, let's say to the emergency room, which being a veteran wouldn't. I've taken people down to the VA at 7 a.m. in the morning, and they don't come back and tell me until like 5 o'clock at night that, well, we're keeping this guy overnight. Or they release him at 5 o'clock. That's one thing we're going to have to figure out. will Beta wait until the veteran's released for their appointment? The VA is a little different medical system than Brookings Health. I've been known to walk in there at 8 o'clock appointments and not literally get out until 5. And other times I go in and I get done in 15 minutes and I'm out the door. So that's all we ask is consideration of that. And, you know, as the commander of the Disabled American Veterans in Brookings, we will abide by whatever the county commission wants. But just be aware the DAV van is actually owned by the Veterans Administration.
Mm-hmm.
We buy them. The DAV, local DAV, I paid for it with the help of the county commission, which we thank, but also other citizens throughout South Dakota. And then we give them to the Veterans Administration. They put license plates on them. They insure them, whole 9 yards. And then if we was to decide to stop doing the DAV van, for better wording, then the VA would decide where the van goes. They would reallocate. The van doesn't have hardly any miles on it, so they would probably reallocate it in the state of South Dakota. They can't take it away from South Dakota if we paid for it. But I just want to let you know that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that because that's some of the stuff we need to look into. We have not even looked into that process of what would happen to the van. And we had talked about that issue where a veteran has to stay longer, things have to change. And maybe we can look at more of a modified approach to it, that if somebody is going down with a surgery, that we don't send them with Beta. We send them with, if we keep the DAB van, we send them with, you know, a volunteer and stuff. But if somebody has a routine appointment or a routine there that would normally take, like you said, 15 minutes or maybe an hour, even 2 hours, that might be the way to kind of modify both and take a little load off of Courtney with trying to, with limited volunteers and stuff, so.
And there was discussion too that there still has to be some coordination between Courtney and Beta. If the county is going to pay Beta for these rides, veterans qualify to take the DAV van for very specific types of appointments. And so there would still have to be some coordination there that says, yes, this veteran qualifies for a DAV ride through Beta. So there's still some, you know, some things to work out there yet, but we wanted, I guess, to have that initial discussion and get it out there. And so if there are those questions, we can look into them and try to get answers.
So I guess my question would be is we're trying to put together a hybrid program, basically with the van and Beta to try and take care of the demand, so to speak. Do we have any numbers to give us what the demand is? He says the van doesn't have a lot of miles on it. Well, that's fine. But how many visits? It looks to me like we're not going to lessen the load on our coordinator. We're just going to add to it. We're going to say, okay, I could say no because we don't have a driver for the van, but let me get a hold of Beta and see if we can work it out. Now we need to know what your appointment is, what your expected times are, what your everything else. The amount of work is going to increase rather than decrease, is my thought. So I'd like some statistics on how many times this van is moved, what types of trips, you know, what's the duration of a lot of our visits down there with the van and coming back. So we kind of got an idea that most of it's when in a 4-hour window, while we're down, now we're back, and 2 hours there, or is it, as Bob said, we got a 7 in the morning and we don't get out till 5. What types of visits do we have going on so that we can really look at this workload? Because I think that was part of the problem we had, was we were overworking our director basically based on that van and not having volunteers and searching for volunteers and searching for transportation needs. I don't have a problem paying for veterans to go down there. I think that's within our scope of services, but I just want to make sure that we're not overloading that department with a hybrid program that can't be run efficiently.
Right, and I think part of that was, once Courtney determined if the veteran was eligible for a ride, then the veteran would work with Beta to get that scheduled and have those talks with Beta to make sure they knew which day, which time to go. I think the request from Beta was to have that veteran meet them here at this building still, just like they, most of them do now come here to get on the DAV van, not all of them. I know, in my staff report, where I have the June numbers for VSO, there were 14 DAV van rides that were coordinated for June. That's high. That's a high number, but I don't necessarily see that going down unless the price of gas comes down. So those rides are increasing. So I think, there's some of that discussion to have with Courtney as well, to make sure that this isn't going to be more work for her. But in the conversation that we had, I think she was excited about the use of Beta.
Yeah, and I think part of that would be is where the time is trying to get those 4 volunteers to coincide with appointments. And if they would still have to go to her and say, hey, I need a ride, I have an appointment. And she can say, okay, what kind of appointment do you have? When is the day? And yes, you qualify. So she would then email Beta and say, this is the veteran that needs a ride on this day, and they do qualify. And then she's not calling all of the volunteers to try to coincide that. Now, if there's an issue with like a surgery, she calls up and says, well, I have surgery set for this. She's like, okay, now I'm going to coordinate this ride. But maybe of the 14, she coordinates 4 rather than 14. And so, because she knows that these are probably rides that can fit in with Beta. She's probably going to have to coordinate all of them, but I think part of it is setting up with the volunteers and their ability to give the ride for all 14. So
Currently, Courtney takes care of the maintenance and the costs of everything on the van.
Negative, the Veterans Administration, once we
So-
turn it over to the Veterans Administration, they take care of everything, gas,
Right, but who
oil,
puts the gas and stuff in it?
the driver, volunteer driver.
The volunteer driver, and they just turn in the,
The VA gives us a fuel card that remains in the book.
So-
That's given to anytime
we
someone
don't pay,
drives.
we don't pay for anything for these rides. So this would be increased costs to the county for dollars, but we also free up Courtney's time, with her 88 appointments that she had in June, reach outs and stuff too. So
but that's what I was wondering, if there's a possibility that Beta could handle coordinating those expenses and watching over the van. I mean, there's gotta be some maintenance issues and things also,
and
but.
we don't have to worry about that. That's all done without it. So Beta would not get the van or would not have to worry about the DAV. They would just worry about their stuff,
Mhm.
the $30.
Yeah.
A question, Bob. I've never been in a van, maybe a veteran, but so far I've not needed the van for anything. But is it handicap accessible for wheelchairs, our van?
No DAV van is, the VA hospital has a system where if you require a wheelchair access, they send the van out of Sioux Falls, no matter where the veteran is in this area. You have to be able to, one of the requirements of nationwide Disabled American Veterans Van Network is you have to be able to get into that van unassisted. Because of the age of most of our drivers, we just can't help people into the van without sometimes getting injured, so.
Well, that may be an opportunity for us with Beta. I don't know what type of vehicle they use, but usually most of theirs are handicap accessible.
During their conversation, that came up that they actually do give a lot of rides from the VA hospital, because the VA hospital contacts them and says we need a ride because we need a handicap accessible ride, and so they end up providing that. So they work with the VA hospital already on those types of rides and stuff. So they're not. I think the VA has some in Sioux Falls buses that are handicap accessible, but they don't come to Brookings. They go about halfway, is what we've understood.
But they do contract out, like you said,
Yeah.
through Beta or through a local facility to get them
local
down to
stuff.
Sioux Falls if needed.
Yep. So Beta has worked with the VA hospital on some of those rides already.
We have any idea what the VA pays Beta for handicap accessibility trips? Well, we could find that out. I mean, we're talking $30 for us. It may be $60 for the VA.
I think it's more like 100
100 and something for the VA to
for
do
the
it.
VA,
Yeah.
they're handicap accessible because you're talking a lot larger vehicle. just
All right.
too.
Well,
So,
we don't want to step on that contract.
yeah, I think it's not really a contract. I think it's by call at a
Right.
time, by need, a need basis.
Whatever
Yeah.
the agreement is.
Yep.
I think based on the fact that they already have contact with folks at the VA, that probably a really smart next step is to make sure that we're in conversation with the VA folks in terms of what their expectations are for service as well, because we want to make sure that we're meeting the need. And if there's a way to make this work with Beta, because we don't have a volunteer pool, what does that look like? Because if it ends up being a VA expense versus a Brookings County expense versus, I mean, I think that's something that's certainly part of the conversation as well, because that's a fiscal impact and it's part of the service that is expected for our veterans. So I think having that conversation directly with VA folks would also be super helpful. And if there are other members of the public that either are hearing this conversation and really desperately want to volunteer, that's certainly an option. Or if there are comments by other folks that they'd like to share with us, we would certainly love to hear that too.
You know, it might be an interesting process and probably would never happen, but get a hold of the VA and suggest that they streamline their volunteer driver request form and requirements for that. I know it's a CDL and it's a heavy requirement.
It's not a CDL.
No.
And this has been taken all the way up to the President of the United States in meetings.
And they won't loosen those requirements.
The Veterans Administration, what it is, it's an occupational health doctor. I just had it last week. It's the same physical that you use for CDLs, but you don't require a CDL for it. You go in there, and that's what's happened in Brookings County. We have lost so many drivers because they go in there, and it's just part of growing old. You start to lose physical capabilities and stuff like that, and that's who they end up, good God, we must have had 60 drivers since I started in 2008. And it's rare that I drive. I have to take vacation, obviously, to drive down. But yeah, it does take about 3 months because, number one, you got to get an ID card. And to get an ID card, it took me like an hour because I had to give fingerprints 3 different times to go through the system through the FBI checks at the VA hospital. They want to make sure that I am who I am. So you go through all these fingerprints, and I can see where people get frustrated, but you're not gonna cut the time of the physicals down.
I know Courtney, our VSO, submitted her application to be a driver. She's been with us for about a year, and she submitted it shortly after she started, and she still has not been approved yet. So there's just a lot of, it's slow. It's a slow process.
Good. Public comment?
Yes.
Hi, Jeff Strury, Brookings. I'm a veteran, so this caught my attention. I'm full. If I wanted to go through the process to be a driver, I think the 30-page thing is a detriment to it, but I have another question. Maybe Mr. Hill is more qualified to answer this, but many times over the last several years, there's been indications of using other health systems other than the VA hospital for our veterans. And I was wondering if it was possible that some of these routine exams or appointments that veterans have with the VA, if they can't utilize a local health system like Brookings Health System to do some of these routine things. I guess I may check with the VA administrator here about driving, but if somebody could answer my question. Thank you.
Commissioner, I can answer that.
Thank you.
It's years the VA tried that system, and the younger veterans took advantage of it, but the elderly veterans tended to stay away from that because they need the specialty. They need heart hospitals and the Sanfords and the Averas, the stuff that we just don't have local. So it's plus that made the VA budget almost double. And so they pushed for that, they tried it, and then I just don't see that going ahead in the future because of medical costs.
Okay, I thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on. Item number 9, Commission Department Directors Report.
We've been discussing the Veteran Service Officer. Her numbers there for June are part of my report. 88 appointments or cases that she worked in June. Attended 2 outreach events, and then the 14 DAV rides, van rides that she coordinated. Part of my report was the June general fund surplus information. We're right at that 10-year average of 37% at June month end. So I'll continue to kind of keep an eye on that as we continue to move through the year. We have had a couple different topics come up with ARPA dollars today. The fire chiefs, I know we had reached out to them and wanting a presentation from them as well. I believe I'm getting them scheduled for the second meeting in August for them to come back and present. So I think it would be a good idea, probably after that meeting in August, to schedule a time for the board to meet again, you as a commission to meet again and discuss all of those asks that we have received, and come up with your priority list and make some decisions on how to spend those dollars. I don't know if you want to take a look at that now as far as dates go. I know if we're looking at after the August meeting, that would be August 16th is the second August meeting. We will kind of have a 2-week break in there before because there are 5 Tuesdays in August. So if you want to consider one of those Tuesdays, the 23rd or the 30th perhaps, to schedule something.
They're open for me. Anybody else?
Does anyone have something on their calendars for either of those days? August 30th. Okay.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I think so.
That's ARPA review, right?
Yes. And what I'll try to do is get us maybe in the community room next door. If it's not booked, otherwise I'll try to, I'll let you know. The open house for phase 2 of the jail project will be the first week of August now. I am looking at Tuesday, August 2nd or Thursday, August 4th. Actually, I'm now kind of down to August 4th. Tuesday evening is planning and zoning, so that takes some people out. So I don't know if you're August 4th, probably like a 5 to 7, 5 to 8 open house.
4-H pork barbecue, I think.
Okay. Did we lose Leanne?
That's 4-H pork barbecue. That's got that in the mail.
Okay. Tuesday night, I know we'll be planning and zoning meeting
That's a national night out at the park too,
on the 2nd.
on the 2nd. Right, Marty?
So that doesn't actually work for any law enforcement.
Let's try again. How about on Monday?
8th? Or the 1st?
Sean, can you try calling Leanne back? She got disconnected. I was thinking the 1st. Monday the 1st?
That's great.
Sounds good.
I think we'll do like a 5 to, I don't know, Marty, what do you think? Couple hours, 5 to 7?
Sure. On the 1st, you're talking?
Yes.
I know on the 8th, I got down 9 o'clock photos detention center. Is that when the architects are supposed to bring someone and take pictures?
Yeah, that's something else, yeah.
Okay.
So, well, let's pencil in August 1st, Monday, August 1st, 5 to 7 p.m. for the jail open house for phase 2. Conservation District wants to get their annual Conservation District tour also on your calendars. Looking at Tuesday, August 9th or Friday, August 12th.
I am not available on the 12th. Yep.
Tuesday, August 9th. Does that work? Okay. They usually, I want to say they meet 9, 10 o'clock. And then, yeah, it usually goes till maybe 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Something like that.
August 10th?
The 9th.
Tuesday, August 9th.
Senior Companions would like to have a commissioner speak at their recognition event on Friday, August 5th in Watertown. I had some information in my report about that. Is anyone available to do that? I know the past couple of years we've sent a letter in lieu of someone attending. If someone is available and would like to go, you can let me know. On the 5th?
I'll have to do some checking.
Okay. Otherwise, I can, the last couple of years, like I said, we've drafted a letter to send up there. So if no one is available, we could do that again as well. We received information from the South Dakota Department of Transportation on the rural access infrastructure appropriation dollar amounts. If you recall, we've been working with our townships, and the highway department went out and did a full inventory of all of the culverts in every township in the county. Brookings County will be receiving just over $930,000 that we need to use to make some of these upgrades to these things. So I think maybe the next step would be maybe Brian and Ryan and Larry and I getting together again and maybe discussing what that might look like. That money will come in, I believe, next year to the county, and it goes into that separate fund. We have a specific fund for these dollars, and that must be used on projects that inventory that we have diagnosed through that inventory. So I think that's maybe the next step. I mean, we have a little bit of time, but I wanted to let you know that I think we have a lot of water in Brookings County, but we also did a very good job on our inventory as well, so that helped. Department head reviews. I wanted to propose kind of a timeline. Now, I did send out the self-evaluation forms to department heads already. Having those back from those individuals, those appointed department heads here at the end of August. Kristen will get those distributed out to the board. Then beginning of September, get those, you folks turn those into her. My review goes to Commissioner Boersma, and then I'd like to schedule department head reviews Tuesday, October 18th. I believe that is a commission meeting day. That afternoon, kind of from 1 to about 5. It may not take even that long. I think there's only like 5 or 6 of us now. So if that works, if you could get those dates on your calendar, unless that somebody has a conflict on the 18th that they know of already. that afternoon? Department head reviews? And then I did get information, and maybe you all received it as well. The 2022 Fall Convention for South Dakota Association of County Commissioners and County Officials is September 12th, 13th, or 11th, 12th, and 13th out in Pier this year. On Sunday the 11th is the golf outing, that golf scramble, and then the convention is Monday, Tuesday. We need to get registered for either the convention itself, or if you are interested in the golf thing, you could let me know that as well. I have room reservations made, so if I need to know if you plan on coming out. I think typically, I don't have an agenda yet, typically this starts, there's committee meetings and whatnot on Monday morning, and then the convention itself really gets going about 10-ish, maybe 11 Monday, and then goes into probably like maybe 3-4 o'clock on that Tuesday. So if you know you're going to attend and want 1 or 2 nights of the hotel, you can let me know now, or if you need to take a look, but I do need to work on getting that registration put together. So
I am unable to. I have another conference that week.
does anybody know that for sure that you're planning to attend? Larry, you're going to go? Are you going to golf? Yeah? Mike? Yeah?
Stacy, I plan on attending on Sunday and Monday.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Are you gonna, but you don't know yet, but you do plan on attending? Are you gonna do the golf thing, you think? Sunday, yeah, Sunday afternoon. Tee off at 2. The Dunes Golf Course in Fort Pierre. It's a 4-person scramble shotgun start, and it's limited to only 40 people, so it's first come, first serve.
They generally put the teams together based on popularity. I don't know. But they put the teams together to try and have somebody who knows the course play with the foursome.
Monday, there's some committee meetings and things right away in the morning. Typically, the convention itself doesn't get going till about 10. So, I mean, if you wanted, there's some yeah. I mean, the first thing usually isn't until about 10, 11 that if you're not on any association committees or anything like that. So you could come out Monday morning early if you wanted to. Otherwise, okay. One night. Okay. All right. And then other than that, just some of the upcoming dates that I have on there. Something new since last meeting on Monday, August 1st. Commission was invited to go to Dakota Layers Free Range Farm Open House. It's from noon to 3. Rural Elkton, there's the address there listed if you're interested in going to that. Wednesday, August 10th, the Sioux Valley Commissioners meeting, the 10-county meeting in Lake County. And down in Madison, I don't know a time, or a location yet. I haven't gotten that agenda yet. That usually, hopefully here will be coming out in the next week or so we'll know where to go. So I'll be asking then, or if you know now that you plan to attend that, you can let me know. I'll have to RSVP for people for that. The golf outing on the 11th, fall convention in September, and just kind of get on your calendar as well a little further out, First District Annual Picnic, Thursday, September 29th. I think sometimes and things, kind of to be determined yet, but that if you wanted to attend that, that's on that date. So I believe that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Anyone? I do not. All right. Item 10.
Stacy, on August 30th, what time are you thinking?
We'll start right away in the morning, like 8:30, Leanne.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else for Stacy? Agenda item 10, State's Attorney's.
Last month, I was asked by the city to be one of the interviewing panelists for the new chief of police. So it was myself, Rapid City chief of police, and then the interim police chief. We were the law enforcement panel. Interviewed a lot of great candidates, and then we had made our recommendations. And then we also attended the 3 finalists. I thought all 3 finalists made some good comments. I guess we're anxiously awaiting to see who the pick is, but just to echo Commissioner Boersma and Sheriff Stanwyck's comments, you know, we hope that we can continue a collaborative relationship with all the law enforcement agencies, and that this new chief of police comes in with some fresh ideas and perspectives that we all can employ to make Brookings County safer. And I'm hopeful that we can continue to do that. So just wanted to tell the commission that.
Any questions for Dan? Thank you. Moving on to item 11, Commissioner. We'll start with Commissioner Pierce if you'd like.
So I have a short report. I just wanted to mention that Commissioner Jensen and I attended the Madera Township Drainage meeting last Friday. Letters went out to 17 landowners in the township. And we will be having meetings with those 17 landowners to talk to them about their easements and whether if we are able to replace that structure and put the Big Sioux back into its channels, whether or not they would be plus or minus on the water flowing into their land. But it's an interesting process, and we're still moving forward, and that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Commissioner Bartley.
Okay, a short report. July 14th, we had the jail meeting. As you've heard, we're moving forward with our open house. The project is, as it's wrapping up, things are happening quickly there. There are, most of it is, you look out there that the connexes are gone and sidewalk is in and landscaping is being done. And hopefully by Thursday, the big trailer will be moved out of there. That's their plan. And finish up the entryway out there. So we're looking forward to the open house. And bar any delays, we'll have the open house. If there's any other issues that might arise, we'll deal with it. But right now, we don't have another meeting scheduled. So we're anxiously waiting to see this completed facility. It's pretty impressive. That's my report.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Jensen.
I attended the Conservation District meeting. They're kind of wrapped up on some of the, their tree planting and their seeding. They're in the process of rebuilding their building. They think they have a contractor contacted that might be able to fit it in and get started on it, which is good news. Just waiting for materials. They have also had some equipment damaged. That one tractor was damaged, and insurance is going to cover the damages on the tractor. So it's good news for them also. Had the Madera Township meeting Leanne talked about. Contacted a couple landowners just to give them an update and tell them they would be receiving a questionnaire and be approached by banners on the 15th. So there's basically the individuals that had some wetland easements. On the 11th, I attended our firemen's meeting in White. Like we said before, Stacy, there's a lot of questions on the ARPA funding. I think they're putting putting together another meeting just for the fire chiefs, and then they'll be bringing the material forward. We also had the Samara Avenue project. We got an update from Banners. Of course, prices have increased, about doubled on the project. We're a little late for applying for a grant, but we're still somewhat moving forward, and we need to decide what if we're gonna do the whole project, or part of the project, and then figure out the funding on the existing part of it. So on the 14th jail meeting with Commissioner Bartley, like I said, we're wrapping up the project. It's looking good. We do have a meeting. I can't remember the meeting for the parking lot review.
I don't think it's been exactly set yet. I think they were working on, once they had that substantially cleared out, they were going to come in and get that swept up with, I think they were going to maybe come in with a street sweeper, get it all cleaned up, and then meet over there to take a look at things to see if there were any concerns with the parking lot or not. So.
Let me know when that is. I also talked to Brian a little bit on if we needed to do something there, that we can possibly handle that. But on the 16th, I participated in a parade in white, and it was nice and warm and well attended, and it was a good weekend. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Krogman.
So this is kind of the middle of the month for me, which I don't have as many meetings as I met on the 12th here with Stacy in the beta meeting, the BAB band. That's all I had.
Super. July 11th, I participated in the candidate forum situation for the police chief. Very different individuals. So also eagerly awaiting kind of seeing what that decision turns out to be. The 13th was part of the Samara Avenue update meeting with Banner and Associates in the city of Olga. I think we're making some good progress there. I think the plan was to submit for the community access grant last Friday and roll the dice and see what happens. And so then we'll kind of move from there as we continue to move forward. On the 14th, I participated in a NACO Next Gen board meeting. So we were prepping for our conference, for NACO annual conference. Their meeting will be Thursday evening, so I'll be out there to speak at that meeting as my last thing as a part of their officer team. And so that should be good. And then last night we had a Brookings Behavioral Health and Wellness Board meeting. Mary Beth kind of walked us through where they're sitting in terms of financial picture. Usually July is really lagging in terms of billables because it's the end of the fiscal year, so the state gets billed, but they don't get paid because of the way that contracts work for state reimbursed services. And their percentage of insurance billings was high enough to basically carry them through that lag in state payment, which has never happened, I think, in the history of the organization. So doing really well in terms of improvement to their financial position. They had 6 new staff members start in the last 60 days, maybe, and just hitting the ground running. So that's been really good for them. They have enough caseload as they look towards fall programming and the things that they're being asked to do for local area school districts to hire 3 more additional clinicians by the time school starts. So Mary Beth has no office as of very shortly because they're using all of those office spaces administratively, getting them relocated so that they've got all clinical staff together in one building. And so they're prepping for kind of temporary relocation of their entire admin team to one of the acquired properties next door. So that's kind of where that one's at. So
I did have one more. I did receive a call from an engineering firm. Had questions proceeding with request for proposal on 214th Street, opinion of cost estimates. And I didn't know if we'd move forward on that or.
haven't had a chance yet, but
Okay.
it's on the list. On the list. Hopefully soon. Although my July is running out of time. All right. there's nothing else there, we'll move on to item number 12, an executive session in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law, Section 1-25-2, parentheses 1 for personnel. Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Aye.
We will take a brief 5-minute recess.